Hey guys, OG Albina here, bringing you guys my cap draft analysis. So yeah, second draft analysis in the last couple days. I want to start filling up the channel a little bit more, getting you guys a little bit more content. But yeah, if you guys don't know, Cap is it's the creative Pokemon project, run by Smogon and stuff like that, and it's essentially just your standard competitive Pokemon, but with a couple of artist designed Pokemon sprinkled in there that were designed to be competitively viable. So it does sprinkle in some variety into the metagame and stuff like that, which is a bit stale with Gen 7 being here for a couple years now and coming to an end soon. Sword and Shield on people's minds. So I figured this is a very cool way to kind of spice things up and keep the format fresh and new. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the analysis. So this season in Cap, we are doing S tiers. So mons like Protean Gren, Megalodios, Magearna, Landorus Eye, um, stuff like that is allowed. Aegislash is allowed this season for a good amount of points, but they are allowed. So going into the draft, I definitely want to try and grab one of those. I did have a pretty low pick though. I believe I was third from the bottom. Forget exactly how many coaches we have. I think we have 16. But yeah, I was third from the bottom, so I wasn't getting like the ones I really wanted. The three that I really wanted to try out of S tier. I really wanted Protean Gren, which went pick one, round one. I really wanted Aegislash, which ended up going around the middle of the round. And I also really wanted Magearna, because it is, Magearna with Z-moves. So if I could have gotten that, that would have been a super good bond. And it actually ended up lasting to the pick before me. So we almost got, Z-moves Magearna with like the 13th, 14th pick or whatever we had, which would have been awesome. But unfortunately, that didn't pan out. And when it came to my pick, the two main S tiers that were left that I was contemplating were Tapu Lele and Ash Greninja. And I ended up going with Ash Greninja. Regular Greninja is a mon that I've had a lot of success with in the format, and this is just basically a regular Greninja on steroids. Does start off in the base form, Gren, so 122 speed, 103 special attack, 95 attack. But if you do manage to pick up a KO, which isn't the hardest thing with regular Gren, it is still a very good mon. If you do manage to pick up a KO, it turns into Ash Greninja with base 132 speed, 153 special attack, and 145 attack, which is pretty insane. How fast that is, on top of the absolute power on both sides it has. On the OU ladder, it's typically just going to be running special, specs and stuff like that. But being this league format, I could definitely see myself running a more physically oriented or something like that, depending on matchup, of course. But just having that option is very nice to go mix or to either or side. This thing's move pool. The reason it makes it so easy to pick up an initial KO, despite having mediocre stats, just good speed, is because this thing's move pool is absolutely insane. Its dual styles are very nice, and Dark Pulse, Hydro Pump, Scald, Water Shuriken for priority is very nice. But the rest of its move pool is absolutely insane. Access to U-Turn, Spikes, Grass Knot, Gunk Shot, Ice Beam, Low Kick, Rock Slide, Taunt. Those are just the ones I can kind of think of off the top of my head. But I'm sure there's some that I'm missing. You still have, your hidden powers you can run of choice and stuff like that. So this thing is very good at being, a great wall breaker with, specs, life orb. It can be a great revenge killer in both forms because of its very fast speed and its access to priority. And yeah, there's a reason this thing's banned in standard, so I'm really excited to use this thing. If you can pick up a kill, this thing kind of just snowballs and wins games from there. But next up, we are going to grab our first cap, and our first cap is going to be Kitsuna. So Kitsuna, for those of you who don't know, it is a Steel Ghost typing. Has 110 base speed, 103 attack with 80 HP, 85 defense, and 80 Spadef. So decently bulky. Good speed tier 110, and that Steel Ghost typing is absolutely amazing defensively. So while it does have kind of mediocre stats on that defensive side, I think that typing really does help out. That nice Aegislash typing does have the ability Iron Fist, which does help with some moves in its move pool, which I will get to in a minute. Making that 103 attack much more sizable. Speaking of the offensive move pool, it gets access to moves like Bullet Punch, Meteor Mash, Earthquake, Shadow Strike, which is a move that has a 50% chance to lower the opponent's Pokemon's defense, which is very useful, obviously. Superpower, Shadow Sneak, Thunder and Ice Punch, U-Turn, Play Rough. So this thing has very good coverage on the offensive side, pretty much all the coverage it needs. Um, and not only this, what really makes Kitsuna valuable to me is not only just the great speed tier, the pivoting, the great defensive typing, all that stuff. Its utility move pool is very, very underrated in my opinion. It gets access to defog, which is something I didn't expect from this thing, but hey, I'll take getting a defogger. Memento, Pain Split, Roar, Wish, Super Fang, Will-O-Wisp, Trick, Taunt. Like this thing gets great move pool on the offensive and the utility side, which is very, very nice. Pick this thing up. Mostly it does help with Gren breaking through those fairy types. None of them want to take a Iron Fist Meteor Mash or any bullet punches to pick them off or anything like that. So yeah, very, very cool mon. I'm very, very excited to use it. This is one of the ones I wanted to try last season, but ended up not falling to me. But yeah, that's going to be Kitsuna. With our next pick, I wanted to pick up our fairy. Fairies were going pretty fast, as they tend to during drafts. Usually most of them are gone. Most of the good quality ones are gone by like round 4. So we end up going with Togekiss. Togekiss is going to, be our fairy type. It serves as a ground immunity, which is very nice for Kitsuna, which is, weak to those earthquakes and stuff like that. Obviously has the Serene Grace ability, and it's like infamous T-Wave Air Slash set or just Scarf Kiss. Very, very annoying mon. 60% chance to flinching something is very, very obnoxious. And if you couple that with the T-Wave and the chance to be parried, it's very hard to break through and, potentially punch through that ability. But not only that, I am not going to be the guy who runs Scarf Kiss every week. I think if you're doing that, you're underutilizing the mon immensely. It has a pretty decent move pool. Defog, Roost, Nasty Plot, Screens, Tailwind, Wish. So decent support wise, and then it also I believe it gets Baton Pass, and so I can dry pass out of there, or maybe pass a Nasty Plot or something like that. Also gets access to Flame, opposed to just its dual stabs, Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam. It doesn't appreciate those steel types, so like I was starting to say, it does get access to fire coverage and Flamethrower, and I believe Fire Blast and Aura Sphere. So if I am running a Nasty Plot set or something like that, I can, pack that coverage for those steel types that would typically wall our dual stab, which is very, very nice. And yeah, that's mostly going to be Togekiss. Going to do annoying Togekiss things. It's probably going to flinch things down. It's going to defog for me. It gives us a second defogger, which is very nice. You can never have too much of that. And yeah, that's Togekiss. So next up, I wanted to finish off our Dragonberry Steel Core. I wanted to pick up something that could punch through steel types very well, because our team does not very much appreciate them. Kitsuna has Earthquake form, but some of them can honestly just shrug that off. Togekiss definitely doesn't appreciate them. While it has decent coverage for it, like I said, it does not appreciate them. It cannot really switch in or anything like that. And Ashcan can punch through most of them, but we're not going to, rely on that solely. So we end up grabbing Mega Charizard X. Charizard X is an absolute monster. 130 base attack with Tough Claws is terrifying to switch into stuff like Flare Blitz and stuff like that. Access to Dragon Dance, Swords Dance, Belly Drum, so a bunch of setup. Also has access to Roost for reliable recovery and Will-O-Wisp to burn things, which is very cool. It's an amazing wall breaker. Not much wants to switch in. Just 3 attacks Roost. You don't even need to run Dragon Dance or Swords Dance every week. 3 attacks Roost can honestly just decimate teams in itself if people are overpowered for Dragon Dance and they're trying to switch around you DDing, and you just throw off a Flare Blitz or Raw or like a Dragon Dance or an Earthquake or something like that. And it does, obviously have that option to be that Dragon Dance sweeper and boost its speed and attack, and just win games in that way once sufficient checks are weakened and Scarfers are identified and stuff like that. But another thing that is very underrated with Zard is its bulky Will-O-Wisp Roost sets. They can be really annoying to break and beat if you did over prep for a super offensive Zard. You can just you can honestly just sit in front of a lot of things, burn a lot of things, and still hit very hard even without a lot of investment with that Tough Claws and 130 attack. So yeah, Zard is going to be very, very good. Its biggest weakness is obviously the 4 times Rock's weakness prior to Mega Evolution, and the 2 times weakness after. But we do have 2 solid defoggers on the team already that can get them off pretty easily. Togekiss is a very reliable defogger in my opinion, And Kitsuno is fast enough to where it can get a an emergency defog if we don't bring Togekiss 1 week or something like that. So yeah, that's gonna be Zard. Really excited to use it. First time I've used it actually in the format. I've used it on the ladder, but not in League yet. But yeah, that's going to be it. So next I wanted to pick up a Bulky Water. I definitely think a Bulky Water is very needed on every single draft. And there's still a good amount of them left, so I wanted to grab one of my personal favorite ones in Suicune. Suicune is the epitome of a bulky, annoying water. I hate prepping for Suicune personally. It actually matched up really well against our team so far, so now we don't have to. But it's gonna do annoying Suicune things like Vincoon, Crocoon, all those names and stuff like that. It's gonna burn things with Scald. It's gonna pressure stall. It's gonna sub protect, sub calm mind, rest talk. Just soak up hits in general and be very, very, very obnoxious. I hate prepping for Suicune personally. And now that it's on our team, we don't have to, which is very, very nice. But yeah, that's mainly going to be Suicune, just going to do your typical Coon things. So next up, I wanted to get a ground resist. Looking at our team right now, besides Togekiss, our entire team just kind of gets bought by a strong ground type. And Togekiss, while it is an immunity, it is weak to Stone Edge. So Edge Quake is looking very, very nice against us at this time. So I definitely wanted to pick up an actual solid resist. And in doing that, we got Shaman. So Shaman gives me a good ground resist, like I said. Base 100, stats all across the board. Makes it very, very solid defensively, very bulky, with access to reliable recovery and stuff like Synthesis. Can pass leech seeds around to residually gain health and heal the rest of my team potentially. It gives me a Cleric, which is very nice, so I can heal off those Toxics on Suicunes, those burns on Kitsuno, those Toxics on Togekiss, that kind of thing. Those ones on my team that don't want to be status to kind of lower their longevity and all that stuff. Also has access to Healing Wish, which is very nice for stuff like Suicune, who doesn't have reliable recovery, or Zard if it's super weakened, in range of rocks or something like that, and I wasn't able to defog them. Or Ashgran or anything like that. Just giving something a second life can be so valuable in the long run of a game. Just getting one of your threats back to full, just for trading a Shaman, which is very nice. It's still pretty threatening offensively. Like I said, base 100 isn't horrible. It's obviously not going to be punching through walls and destroying teams, but it's still pretty threatening, and it gets access to Sea Flare, which can potentially lower that SPDEF, make it a little bit tougher to switch around and stuff like that. Earth Power for those steel types, gets access to Dazzling Gleam, Air Slash, stuff like that. And not only is it a Cleric, it's also a status absorber. With Natural Cure, I can kind of swap in and absorb those Toxics, those T-Waves, those burns, and eventually pivot out, and those will be gone, which is very, very nice. So yeah, that's going to be Shaman, very, very valuable for our team. And next up, I wanted to pick up a ground type. Another role I think is very important in the format. I don't want to be Volt Switched all over. Volt Switch U-turn, just losing momentum like that against, offensive Volt Turn teams is just asking to lose. So I ended up grabbing my personal favorite ground type that I've used. Obviously not the best, but definitely my personal favorite that I've used over the last few years as I've been playing in Nidoqueen. I've probably drafted Nidoqueen like 10 times by now, but it's so good at what it does. It's a great, ground type to soak up those Volt Switches and stop your opponent from, pivoting around and stuff like that. Also a Grounded Poison, which gives me something to swap in on T-Spikes and get rid of those without having to defog them away, which is very nice for stuff like Suicune. Definitely doesn't want to be poisoned or anything like that by T-Spikes. So having that one that can, swap in and absorb those is very, very valuable. It also gives me my first rocker, which is good because that's definitely an oversight on my team up to this point. We have very little hazard support. I believe we just have Spikes and Ashgren. And other than that, we had no rocker, we have no T-Spikes, so this gives us both of those in one, rocks and T-Spikes, so now we have all three, which is very nice if we do decide to go the hazard stacking route. It's very, very bulky naturally, so, it can be evened away to eat hits very well. I love Nidoqueen with like a Super Berry, like the Ayapapa, or with lore like a Shuka or a Yaji or something like that. Or just potentially Black Sludge or something like that. Very, very bulky mon. Takes a while to chip down, especially if we support it well with the rest of our team. and it still hits very, very hard, despite having um, very middling special attack and attack stats. It access to sheer force makes those secondary effect moves like Earth Power and Sludge Wave and stuff like that hit so much harder. This thing can honestly still run, take a page out of Nido King's book, and still run like 4 attacks, sheer force, life orb, and just try to punch holes through teams. And while it's not as fast as Nido King, it still does have that nice kind of like middling speed tier, where it's going to outspeed that bulky, fat or annoying stuff that it really wants to, and it has the natural ability to eat a hit or two from those fast offensive threats, even if they are, at a type advantage or something like that. So Nidoqueen is an amazing Pokemon. I'm really excited to use it. Expect to come to a lot of games. I really like building with this thing, and yeah. So next up, we are going to grab our last big threat, because this is a points draft, so we're running pretty low on points here. We have to get 9 Mons minimum. And at this point, I believe this will give us 8, and that's going to be Reuniclus. So Reuniclus gives me a bulky Psychic, which is very nice. Having one of those is very important in my opinion. Our team didn't like switching into fighting types too much, other than Togekiss and Kitsuna. So this gives me, well, now that I think of it, that's pretty good defense against fighting types. But this gives me a more another reliable way of doing so. Two amazing abilities in Magic Guard and Regenerator. Magic Guard allowing me to not take residual damage from hazards, from status, from items like Life Orb or anything like that. It can be very useful in a mon that wants to stay as healthy as possible and just be bulky and annoying. Makes Calm Mind sets very good. That one Calm Mind Acid Armor Recover Psychic set, if my opponent does not have a Psychic type, I know for a fact it's an absolute nightmare to prep for. And we don't have a dark type, so if we had to go up against that set, it would be very hard to play around. But regardless, we don't, because we did pick up Reuniclus, and really excited to potentially bring that against a team that did not end up prioritizing that dark type like we did. Offensive Trick Room is also scary with Magic Guard, being that we don't take any Life Orb recoil if we can get up a Trick Room and be pretty much faster than everything because of how slow Reuniclus is. We can pretty much claim at least 1-2 Mons with, it's pretty decent coverage. Regenerator, also very nice. I love the Solvest Regenerator. Reuniclus, I think, is a very underrated set in the format. It's a great sponge and a great pivot. Pretty decent coverage on the offensive side too, which is very nice. So, yeah, really excited to use Reuniclus. Very annoying mon, very hard to break down, which is in line with a couple of the mons on our team. And yeah, that's going to be Reuniclus. So next up is a bit of a main pick. We don't have too many points. I wanted an electric type, and I really wanted Electrode, but if I did that, I don't believe I had the points for Electrode. I was 1 point off. Having that in the dual screens would have been nice, but instead we ended up picking up Pachirisu. So we had 3 points left, and I didn't really want any mons in the 3-point pool, and I really wanted an electric type, and I think the only one there was Luxray, which is a bad mon. So I ended up picking up Pachirisu, which I think is still probably a pretty bad mon, but it's not horrible. It does offer me some pretty good utility and Nuzzle to, paralyze things, Super Fang to chip things down by half, even though we're not a very threatening mon offensively. Gives me momentum and Volt Switch and U-Turn, I believe. I think it gets both. I know it gets at least one of the two, so that does give us, more momentum regardless. And it does give me that electric type, which is very nice. But yeah, other than that, I don't think Pachirisu is going to come to every single game. It might come to a few games, 1 or 2, but yeah, that's going to be Pachirisu. Last up, we had 1 point left, so we had to grab kind of from the bottom of the barrel here. And with this, I wanted to grab a mon that necessarily might not come every single week, but it's going to be in the back of my opponent's mind like, oh, I don't want to lose to this mon, I don't want to lose because of this mon. Regardless of whether or not they might bring it, I should still prep for it just in case. And forcing prep is very important in my opinion in your low tier, your low point mons. So we ended up grabbing Cottonee, which may sound like, but there's some pretty good mons in the 1 point range and stuff like that. I think Cottonee is really good as well. It still has access to Prankster, so we still do get Prankster Defog. Gives us a third Defogger beyond Kitsuna and Togekiss. Also has, access to all the other Prankster moves like Memento. So having that Prankster Memento could be very nice to let us get in our Zard to set up and just clean late game, potentially, with how bulky Zard is on its own. and we make something -2, -2, pretty free to set up and win the game from there. And not only that, people have to take into account the fear strats. I'm not going to go exactly into what they are, just because if people want to prep for them, I want them to have to look that up and stuff like that. But definitely very viable against teams that may not have a good grass type or may not have a grass type at all. I think there might be 1 or 2 of those in the league, or there might be a couple where the grass type just match up very bad against me. So that's something I want to keep in my back pocket just to have just in case. But yeah, after the draft, we did have 30 Z points, and the points corresponded to how many points the mon costed when we drafted. So I wanted to make Ash Greninja a Z-Mon, but it was 19 points, so I couldn't make anything else Z besides Pachirisu and Cottonee and Ashgren. So I went against that. Same with Kitsuno. I wouldn't have been able to make anything else Z besides Pachirisu and Cottonee. So I kind of went for the more middling route to get more value out of my Z crystals, because while Ashgren and Kitsuno would probably like them and appreciate them, I don't think it's very, very needed. So I ended up going with Togekiss and Reuniclus for my first 2. So Togekiss throwing off potentially a Z-Fight or a Z-Fire or something like that to break through the steals is very nice. Just having the possibility of that, you'll have to prep for that. Reuniclus throwing off, an Electrum Z-Thunder or something like that, or a Focus Blast. Z-Focus Blast, you do not have to risk missing, or Bugginium Z Signal Beam to give it a little bit more power. Could be very, very nice for us. And then, excuse me. And then last, we had 4 Z points left, and we had no Mons in the 4-point range. We just had a 2-pointer and a 1-pointer, so that means that Pachirisu and Cottonee get the ability to potentially hold the crystals. I'm going to be honest, never going to bring Z Pachirisu, besides maybe in the meme game, or unless I think of some, god tier heat set that I'm not thinking of right now. But Cottonee is actually much more likely. Like I said earlier, access to Memento, so Z Memento could definitely be a set I bring only just to heal something up completely, like a Healing Wish, and still get that -2 as Cottonee goes down, to potentially set up and win, or get Ashgren up to full and pick something off and get my form and stuff like that. So yeah, that's going to be the team. Really excited to use it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like the video, stick around just so you can catch our new vids as they go up. Live being this league, our NCP Wi-Fi run, which goes up on Fridays usually, or our APA Little Cup Season 2 run, which will be going up starting on Mondays. So yeah, plenty of league content if that's what you're into or interested in. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much. I'll catch you next time. Later.